a bit of nothingness. I wonder what Wolves fan Dave Atapari, who joins us now, thinks about that. Dave, good morning to you. Things did actually look like they were getting a bit better before the international break. Are you cursing the fact that that came at a bad time?
Yeah, I think so. We started to pick up a little bit of momentum, like you said. 3 matches unbeaten, if you're including the EFL Cup, like Leanne just mentioned there. But yeah, 2 draws in the Premier League, having the lead for long periods in both of those games, and then throwing it away right at the death. So, although the results and the manner of the sort of draws are quite frustrating, I felt like we started to find our rhythm a little bit and tried to find the momentum. But again, we had a record number of players for our club out on international duty, which is just going to stutter that momentum and training, which I don't think Vitor Pereira will be too happy about. But yeah, we've got 2 crucial fixtures coming up anyway.
If we look at, have a look at this, Dave, this might cheer you up slightly, actually, because this time last year, Wolves were bottom. They were winless after 7 games of the season. But you know what happened last season. So you have done it before. Does that give you any reason to be optimistic, or does it make it even more concerning that it's happened again?
I think there's 2 sides to it. I think the one side is that yes, we've been in this situation before, and we know what we can do. We can remain as a Premier League team and climb to safety. In the end, last season, with quite a bit of breathing space. But on the flip side of that, you can't keep gambling this season after season. In terms of league positions, it just keeps slipping every season, and one year it will come back to bite you. So we can't keep risking it. We can't keep having slow starts every Premier League campaign because we think after 8 or 9 game weeks, it'll be okay, we'll manage to do it again. Because like I said, one season it's going to come back to bite you. So yeah, it's although it's not 100% panic stations just yet, it is obviously frustrating that we find ourselves in this position once again.
Don't you find, though, like, obviously you're going to lose games, it's the Premier Leagues, but it's like the games against Everton, games against Leeds, it's like those types of games are the ones where you think, I might nick a result here, and then you don't. Are those the ones that are a bit of a concern for you? Because you look at the Tottenham game, well, that's a decent, Tottenham are a decent side, They're flying. Brighton, they're a decent side as well. So it's not like embarrassing results, but it's like those teams like Leeds, you'd expect a little bit more from, wouldn't you?
Yeah, expect both of those games that you mentioned there were at Molineux as well. So you expect a level of performance and a level of result. And probably both of those games are our 2 worst performances of the season, which is a little bit of a concern. I think the Spurs game, we left frustrated because, you probably go into that one, they started quite brightly under Thomas Frank. You go into that one not really knowing what to expect. And we had the lead for a long period of that second half and threw it away at the end. And the Brighton game, they've been a huge bogey side for us. And we left that game frustrated because I think we caught Brighton on a bad day and we still couldn't put them away. And the manner of how we played in the second half, very negative and defensive, let a lot of Wolves fans frustrated. So it's just trying to get that momentum right. I think, the 3 games that I've just mentioned, the Everton game in the League Cup and then the last 2 games, Spurs and Brighton, we changed shape and changed formation. And we're starting with a back 4, we've remained unbeaten. So that's why I'm hoping now this international break isn't a disruption for Wolves. We stick with the back 4 this weekend against Sunderland and try and find our first win, whether it's this weekend or next weekend against Burnley, and just try. Hopefully that gives us a platform to work off and get ourselves out of this mess.
But what are you expecting from those 2 games? Sunderland's away, and like you say, Burnley is at home. Is it unrealistic to think you can get 6 points?
I don't think it's unrealistic, but at the same time, everybody knows Sunderland have started off quite brightly, and the Stadium of Light is going to be a tricky place to go, especially with how well they're supported. Their fans are going to be up for that, and I think they'll go into this game thinking that they can get a result, especially with how Wolves have started. And Burnley as well, another one. I think everyone came. Yes, they haven't got the results yet so far this season, but they've still been giving teams a really good go. So that's going to be a tricky one. But I think Wolves need nothing less than 4 points from. I think they need to get something out of both games. I think if we're having this conversation in 2 weeks' time and Wolves are still without a win, I think Vitor Pereira could be in a bit of trouble.
Can I just say though, Tom?
Yeah.
Like I touched upon it before about like the squad and the team. Like I spoke about the fact that you haven't really replaced the players that you've lost. Like when you look at your squad, I don't say nothingness in a disrespectful way, but I think you get what I'm talking about, right? Like there's a lot of players in there that like you don't know what you're going to get from them. Huang wasn't even playing a couple of years before. He's a decent player, but he's not going to, for me, like those types of players, like championship players.
Yeah, the squad, I think you mentioned it earlier in terms of like the turnover of the talent and the players that we've got as well. And that's a frustrating thing. I suppose when you're outside of the big boys at the top end of the table, you're going to have to expect somewhat of transfers and letting your players go. But what it's about is who you're bringing in to replace them. And we have hit, the jackpot a couple of times, bringing in Cunha and so on. But even him, we spent 50 million on at the time. But this summer, it's been a lot of risky transfers. We've signed a lot of players that have never played in, not just in the Premier League, but haven't played in a top 5 league across Europe. So, you're asking a bit of a risk there. One of our top sort of players from the summer window, I suppose, was Jean Arias. He's 28, never played outside of South America. So there's always risks with that. What we've just got to hope is now there's all of a sudden going to be some sort of settling in period, which happens over the last few weeks or so, and they can start hitting the ground running. But even you mentioned Strand Larsen earlier. Good player, had to reject a number of top bids for him in the summer. But he's had a slow start. Yes, he's had a few injuries, but we really need players like that to hit the ground running for Wolves to turn this form around.
And Dave, very quickly, have you still got full faith in Vitor Pereira?
I've got faith. I don't know if I'd say full faith as of yet, but I think you've got to give him a little bit of time and support. I think you saw what he did last season and turned it around. I think he could talk the talk. At the moment, the manner of like I said earlier, the manner of the results. I think last weekend or the weekend before, against Brighton, he should have managed that game better. But I think there's no point in us chopping and changing the manager just yet. I think, like Leanne said, the squad isn't good enough as it is. So although we might get a bit of a momentum boost, I think he still deserves time and still deserves a few more weeks before we have that conversation.
Right, Dave, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.